I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified Podcast. If you're looking for a little inspiration as you try to build a life you love, then this is it. You've come to the right place. Every week, I try to give you some tactical tips to grow in grace, not perfection, so you can truly live a life filled with what matters most. You guys, it's our birthday over here at Simplified. We are celebrating our 13th birthday. That's wild. And sharing the love with you in our annual birthday sale. So head on over to emilylay.com where you can join the fun and shop all of our planners and products at 30% off. No code needed. Birthdays kind of make me nostalgic, and it got me thinking where I was about 13 years ago when Simplified was just a dream I had in my heart. When I could only dream about creating a business and having a career that could help me build a life I love. So 13 years ago, that's just wild to say, 13 years ago, when Brian and I were newlyweds, we were in the car coming back from a visit to our families at Christmas, and I told him that I was miserable. I remember very distinctly this conversation and telling him that I was just miserable in my current role. I had earned a master's degree, I was climbing the corporate ladder, and I was helping to run a really amazing program. It was a Women in Leadership and Philanthropy program at a big state university. The university was amazing, the program was amazing, but I was watching the women who were part of this program, and they were amazing, just incredible. They were making big things happen in business, they were pushing social issues forward, and they were doing amazing things for our community. But honestly, the environment was stifling, and I felt like I was suffocating. I longed for the freedom to go out and do things, just like the women who were part of our organization. I wanted to spread my wings and do work that made me excited, and I also knew that someday, sooner than later, I wanted a family. And I kept thinking about how in my then current situation, I wouldn't be able to chaperone field trips or make it to school performances. My hours were just too long and inflexible, and I was driving almost an hour each way to work every day. I kept coming back to this quote: try to learn to breathe deeply, to really taste food when you eat, and when you sleep, to really sleep. Try as much as possible to be wholly alive with all your might. And when you laugh, laugh like hell. And when you get angry, get good and angry. Try to be alive. I was not alive. I didn't know what to do, but I had to find a way to become alive again. Though they felt few and far between, I started to identify the parts of my current job that did make me happy. I liked creating flyers for events, designing logos for different programs, and oddly enough, writing thoughtful thank you notes to our donors. I know that seems like such a silly, minuscule thing to get excited about, but I loved it. I loved writing. I loved making the cards and the stationery beautiful. I just loved it. My fascination with design and writing began to grow, and on a whim, I told Brian that I wanted to make note cards and sell them on Etsy. The funny thing is, my fascination with note cards actually dates back to our wedding because I really, really wanted Crane wedding stationery. And if you know anything about paper, you know that Crane is like the end-all, be-all, best of the best paper. But it was crazy expensive, and we just didn't have it in the budget. So I actually made our own wedding invitations and programs and all of that kind of stuff, and really loved it. I was a scrapbooker, and it was just really fun to me. So the only problem was I didn't know how to use Etsy, which was new at the time, or make note cards. And other than what I made for our wedding, I didn't know how to make them on a large scale and sell them. And I didn't have a company name, a business license, a resale certificate, or any money. We were trying to pay off student loan and credit card debt, and our budget had very little to spare for a new hobby. But I felt a little spark, and I followed it. First things first, how do I get a business license? I Googled how to get a business license in Florida. Okay, now I need a name. I typed in Emily Lay Paper. A few minutes later, I had bought a website, filled some paperwork out, and had a brand new business license. The rush of figuring out something I had no clue how to do was so exciting, and so I did it again. I asked the internet, can I use a program I have on my old home PC to make note cards since I can't afford fancy software and I have no idea what that software even is? Yes. Okay, well, how do I do that? I Googled how to use Microsoft Publisher. I read articles about what a terrible program Publisher is for graphic designers, and I thought, good thing I'm not actually a designer because I can't afford anything beyond what I have. So I just dove in. Within days, I was using cardstock from my DIY wedding projects to create folded note cards. I matched them with envelopes I had on hand and ribbon from my gift wrap stash. Add in my top-notch Googling skills, watching every free YouTube video out there, and my own insatiable desire to create something of my own outside the corporate workplace, and there was no stopping me. I spent more than 2 years selling as many note cards as I could, putting every dollar I earned back into my new business, and crossing my fingers that one day I could actually take home a paycheck. I worked during those 2 years late into the evenings. I mean, we're talking like 2 and 3 a.m. And it wasn't like a sacrifice to stay up late. I just loved it with my whole heart. It was so fun. It was so exciting. I loved knowing that my hard work was building something. I would create my logo, learning how to build a free website, navigating these new worlds of Twitter and Facebook, which were like the things at the time. I'd spend 5 hours on something and then realize I did all of it wrong and have to start back at square one. And I can't even tell you how many times that happened. Some nights I'd get so excited about a project or a new skill I was trying to figure out that I would lose sense of time completely and look up to see the sun peeking through the blinds of our guest room. All right, so fast forward a little bit to 2011. I had gone full-time with the business. I had taken a massive pay cut from leaving my full-time job, but Brian and I both just believed that this little business was going to grow into something. So we took the risk, took the leap. And my oldest son, Brady, was born in 2011. And shortly after that, I found myself just completely and totally overwhelmed. I had spit up all over me. I was trying to take care of all these design clients I was working with at that time. I was also trying to make sure all of my shop orders were taken care of. Back at the time, I had the Emily Lay shop where I sold notepads and wedding invitations and stationery. I was also trying to keep a growing mountain of clean laundry on the living room chair from toppling over. And it was just, oh man, it just makes me take a deep breath just thinking about it. It was just so much. So on a whim, I put Brady in the car and off we went to Target to see if I could find something to help me get my life together. I know I'm not the only one who's done this because life's solutions are sometimes found in the aisles of Target. On this particular trip, I had one goal. I was going to find a planner. I wanted to track my business, keep up with our family, and I mean, taking care of myself wasn't even a consideration under the weight of the rest of it, but that would be nice too. In the planner aisle, I saw brands I recognized and some I didn't. I flipped through pages, I looked at cover options. Some were black and white, some color, but all of them overwhelmed me. These designs were a bit fancy. The layout wasn't right, they had far more features than I needed, and the last thing I wanted was for my planner to require me to track the number of glasses of water I didn't drink that day, unless coffee counts. I headed home empty-handed and frustrated. I put Brady down for a nap and went into my office/guest room to pack that day's orders from the online shop. I gathered a stack of simplified notepads to slip into the cello sleeves and decorate with my little signature gold foil pineapple sticker. I had designed these notepads to track the various lists I kept. So things like to-do list, meal planning, grocery lists, and all that stuff. They were organized in rainbow order, one navy, one teal, one turquoise, etc. And the design was minimal and cheerful, my favorite style. And as I packed up these notepads, this little idea started to simmer. I needed a specific tool, a planner, and it didn't exist. So maybe I could just take what I had on hand, a binder and some paper, and use this style I loved for the notepads to make my own planner. And it was really, at the time, it was just for me, but I had this idea and I wanted to pursue it. So using dividers and notebook paper, just like I'd done when I was planning my wedding, I put together a simplified life binder of sorts, and it worked. I kept track of every day on a different page of notebook paper and put a simple monthly calendar in the front. And after using it for a few months and talking to so many other women like me, I knew I was onto something really unique and really special, especially because this desire to live a more simplified life was so universal. So the binder concept eventually gave way to a spiral-bound planner, then to a wire-O-bound, foil-adorned hardcover planner, the first of its kind, and the one that eventually won Best New Product at the National Stationery Show a few years later. But it didn't happen overnight. I didn't start my business with the goal to win awards or write best-selling books or to be featured in Forbes magazine. P.S. That actually happened, and I still can't believe it. My journey to follow my dreams started with the desire to make a product for myself that solved a problem, then to offer that product to women like me who were also craving simplicity. Who could have predicted where that would lead? Not me. Did I know how to manufacture a planner? No, but I had a friend and mentor with a giant printing press, and she agreed to print my first planners for me. Did I have enough money to print a run of these planners at a large scale? Definitely not, but I knew I could take on a few extra branding clients and save the revenue until the time was right. Adding debt was a risk I did not want to take, so I went slower so I could scale smart. Did I know how to design a print-ready planner file with pages and a cover? I laugh because no, not at all. I taught myself watching YouTube videos, how to use Adobe Illustrator so that I could, eventually make files that were print worthy. And y'all, I mess those up so many times. I just can't even, I have to do a whole podcast on all the mistakes I made. But once I knew what I wanted the end goal to be, I simply took the next right step and the next and the next. And that is what Emily P. Freeman, one of my favorites, calls the next right thing. And it's the most genius concept that will literally help you do anything. It has been a very long time since I stood in that Target completely overwhelmed with a crying baby and gave up to go home and cobble together my own planner. A few years ago, I stood in that same Target in Tampa, Florida, with that same baby who was somehow 7 years old and looked at our Simplified Planner on that same Target shelf. Talk about full circle. Honestly, it gets me choked up just thinking about it all. I mean, I think back to one of the first goals I laid out for my brand, for my company, and it was this. This business will give me, and maybe an eventual team, the flexibility to do life well so that we can do work well. And side note, I'm saying this as I have a 6-year-old behind me with a sore throat from his allergies. And it's just really cool to see that come to fruition. This company will never be just a planner company. The day that happens is the day I sell it or I walk away. This business will be a resource, a community, and a collection of tools for all women seeking simplicity. And guess what? That's exactly what Simplified has become. It thrills me even all these years later because it was the fulfillment of one of my deepest dreams, to be able to have a job that I love while having the flexibility to be the mom I want to be. Oh my gosh, y'all. I knew I wasn't going to make it through this one without getting all choked up. So now with exactly 1.5 million mistakes under my belt, along with 8 team members beside me and an actual home office space to call my own, I still believe in every single word of our end goal. And I bet you probably have a dream quietly blooming inside your heart. It may not have opened up all the way where you can see it in its full shape, and that's okay. Sometimes dreams, they take time to fully blossom. But as you dream, I can promise you this. When you decide what your next right step is, and when you put one foot in front of the other and make big and small decisions with grit and grace and wisdom and bravery and a deep connection to what truly matters most to you, the rest will fall into place. It did for me, and it was not quick. And there were so many bumps in the road, times I wanted to just quit. and it may take a long time. But my advice to you is this: just keep moving forward. Small steps are still progress. Go get them, sister. I believe in you. Oh, goodness gracious. As we close out this really special episode, I would like to pray a little blessing over you as you think about the dream that you've been nurturing in your heart. I hope you remember to give yourself the grace to start small. I hope you remember that progress, no matter how little, is still moving forward. When you feel stuck, I hope you remember that it's okay to ask for help. And through it all, I hope you remember why you're following your dream in the first place, and that the reason still makes your heart soar. Okay, I'm going to take this impromptu opportunity to invite a guest onto our podcast today. Hey, Tyler, come here. What we're talking about is about how you can have a dream or a goal, and it can be anything you want it to be. Do you have a dream or something you want to be one day or do?
I want to be a chef.
Here, talk into the microphone. You want to be what?
I want to be a chef.
A chef? Dude, I didn't know about this dream. Tell me about it. What are you going to make?
I'm going to make seafood.
Well, I know that you love fish. Do you want to tell everyone what kind of seafood Chef Tyler is going to make one day? Maybe salmon?
Fish and other stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you know about the work Mommy does with her job? What does Mommy do?
She makes planners.
What else?
You make pens.
I make planners and pens. That's right.
I make the notebook things that so it tells you what page you're on.
Oh, those page markers. Those are cool. That's awesome. You think you can achieve your goals and dreams one day?
Yes.
What do you think it's going to take for you to do that?
Cook a lot with you.
Cook a lot with me. That's right. And you're going to have to be brave and make good choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can go back over there. Thank you for being a guest on the podcast today. All right, guys. As always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we have talked about today into practice. So here is your task for this week. Think about the dream you have for yourself. What is the smallest, most basic first step you could take toward making that dream happen? And then, maybe instead of a dream, you start calling your dream a goal. Because you know what a goal is? It's a dream with plans behind it. And you're going to need some good planning to get the thing done. Thank you so much for listening to the Simplified Podcast. I hope today's special episode showed you that if I can take a bunch of baby steps to do the next right thing and build a dream, I know you can too. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, where you can check out links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products. Plus, for more simplicity tips, you can find me on Instagram at emilylay and at Simplified. And did you know you can watch the Simplified podcast on video? It's true. They're so easy to share with friends too. Head over to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/simplified by Emily Lay and subscribe today so you never miss an episode. And listen, if you're looking to take a next big step in your life, you should definitely grab a copy of my newest book, Growing Boldly, Dare to Build a Life You Love, which is in stores right now, wherever you buy books. Okay, last thing. I can't tell you how much it means to me to read all of your reviews over on Apple Podcasts. They mean so much to me. I read them at least once a week. I promise you I read every single one. And if you like what you're hearing, will you please hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review? That is one of the most powerful ways we can share about the show, help it grow, and get it into the hands of women looking to make some big changes in their own lives. And don't forget to pop over to emilylay.com to shop our birthday sale, where you can save 30% on all the things. You don't need a special code or anything. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Bye.